Day 636, Friday, May 9th. 2 Kings 25 2-7, Jeremiah 39 2-7, and Jeremiah 52 5-11. 2 Kings 25 2-7, NKJV. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. By the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine had become so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then the city wall was broken through, and all the men of war fled at night by way of the gate between two walls, which was by the king's garden, even though the Chaldeans were still encamped all around against the city. And the king went by way of the plain. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued the king, and they overtook him in the plains of Jericho. All his army was scattered from him. So they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon at Riblah, and they pronounced judgment on him. Then they killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, put out the eyes of Zedekiah, bound him with bronze fetters, and took him to Babylon. Jeremiah 39 2-7, NKJV. In the 11th year of Zedekiah, in the 4th month, on the 9th day of the month, the city was penetrated. Then all the princes of the king of Babylon came in, and sat in the middle gate. Nergal-Sharezer, Samgar-Nebo, Sarsachim, Rabsaris, Nergal-Sarezer, Rabmag, with the rest of the princes of the king of Babylon. So it was, when Zedekiah the king of Judah and all the men of war saw them, that they fled and went out of the city by night, by way of the king's garden, by the gate between the two walls. And he went out by way of the plain. But the Chaldean army pursued them and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho. And when they had captured him, they brought him up to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, to Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he pronounced judgment on him. Then the king of Babylon killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes in Riblah. The king of Babylon also killed all the nobles of Judah. Moreover, he put out Zedekiah's eyes, and bound him with bronze fetters to carry him off to Babylon. Jeremiah 52 5-11, NKJV. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. By the 4th month, on the 9th day of the month, the famine had become so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then the city wall was broken through, and all the men of war fled and went out of the city at night by way of the gate between the two walls, which was by the king's garden, even though the Chaldeans were near the city all around. And they went by way of the plain. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued the king, and they overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho. All his army was scattered from him. So they took the king, and brought him up to the king of Babylon at Riblah in the land of Hamath, and he pronounced judgment on him. Then the king of Babylon killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. And he killed all the princes of Judah in Riblah. He also put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and the king of Babylon bound him in bronze fetters, took him to Babylon, and put him in prison till the day of his death. Daily Deep Dive. The UCG reading plan states, in the summer of 586 billion C, when Jerusalem's food supply had run out, the Babylonians at last breached the walls of the city. 2 Kings 25 2-4. Jeremiah. The various rulers of the Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar then sat in the middle gate. Jeremiah 39 3. The middle gate was probably between the upper and lower divisions of the city. The purpose of the official session at the middle gate was either to plan their military strategy, or to establish their quarters there. Expositor's Bible. Commentary. Note on verses 1-3. The Nelson Study Bible suggests that it was to assert their authority in the conquered city. Note on verse 3. At the beginning of his ministry 40 years earlier, Jeremiah had prophesied, "Out of the north calamity shall break forth on all the inhabitants of the land. For behold, I am calling all the families of the kingdoms of the north, says the Lord. They shall come, and each one set his throne at the entrance of the gates of Jerusalem." Jeremiah 1:15. Jeremiah gives the Babylonian names of the Babylonian high officials. Jeremiah 39 verses 3. Nergal-Sharezer was Nebuchadnezzar's son-in-law and succeeded him under the name Neriglissar, ruling Babylon from 560 to 556 billion C. The chief officer Niv-Rabsaris was head of the eunuchs who served as chamberlains. A high official. Niv is literally Chief Magi. Rabmag. Expositor's Bible Commentary. Note on verses 1-3. Zedekiah, realizing Jerusalem was lost, sought to escape by night. The two walls near the king's garden between which Zedekiah and his army slipped out of Jerusalem probably lay at the extreme southeastern corner of the city, giving direct access to the Kidron Valley cf. Nehemiah 3:15. Footnote on 2 Kings 25:4. They made their way toward the Arabah. Verse 4, Jeremiah 39:4, Jeremiah 52:7, Neviv. The great Jordan Rift Valley that extends throughout the length of the Holy Land from the Sea of Galilee to the Gulf of Aqaba, same footnote. But Babylonian forces caught them in the plains south of Jericho. They were taken to Nebuchadnezzar in Riblah on the Orontes River in Syria, which was the field headquarters for Nebuchadnezzar's western campaigns. Jehoahaz had been summoned there earlier by Pharaoh Necho, 2 Kings 23:33. Nelson Study Bible, note on 25:6. Nebuchadnezzar had no pity for those who had rebelled against him. He first killed the king's sons, followed by the nobles. Only Zedekiah was spared for captivity after he saw with his own eyes the slaughter and then was blinded. By modern standards, what Nebuchadnezzar did was unusually harsh, but was in accord with ancient pagan practices and is understandable in view of the trouble that Judah and especially Zedekiah had given Babylon. This kind of punishment, especially the blinding v7, is mentioned in the Hammurabi Code. Thus 2 prophecies were fulfilled. 1. Zedekiah would see the king of Babylon, and would be taken there cf. 32:3-4, and 2. He would die in Babylon without ever seeing it cf. Ezekiel 12:13. To add to his torture, Zedekiah had to witness the slaughter of his sons and the nobles. This kind of punishment was very ancient cf. Judges 16:21. Assyrian sculptures show how kings delighted to put out, often with their own hands, the eyes of captive rulers. Expositor's Bible Commentary, note on Jeremiah 39:6-8. The last thing Zedekiah saw was the reward of his sinful folly, the horrible spectacle of his own loved ones being put to death. He would carry this picture with him until his own death in a Babylonian prison. Jeremiah 5:2-11. Nelson Study Bible, note on 2 Kings 25:7. Besides serving as a lesson to other nations, the killing of the princes and nobility was also to eliminate anyone who, as a possible successor ruler, might serve as a rallying point for the Jewish people. The Judean monarchy had indeed come to a brutal end. Yet, as explained in the comments on our previous reading, the dynasty of David would be transferred elsewhere and go on, just as God had promised. And,